Duncan.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker, and I too would like to congratulate the members for Witham, Hyndburn and Livingston on their maiden speeches. I particularly appreciated the opportunity to recollect the role in this House of a previous member for Livingston, a friend of the current member at that time, who gave such a wonderful example to those new members of this House of the importance of being independently minded through his principled opposition to the Iraq War. I wrote to Mr. Speaker to let him know of my interest in speaking this debate because I wanted to speak about the situation affecting the railways in my constituency. But I hope I'll be forgiven for first following through on a matter that I've raised a number of times in this House since I arrived, which relates to the exploitation of the energy within our rivers, and in particular on the River Avon at Avon in my constituency. I wish to do so because it's becoming a formative part of my initial understanding about both the role and indeed the privileges or otherwise of members of this place. I was approached by constituents who have done a remarkable job of renovating a derelict mill on the side of the river, and who were keen to establish a renewable energy project, a hydro scheme on the river, something which the country desperately needs us to do more often. They had made an application for an abstraction licence from the river from the Environment Agency in September of last year, and by the end of March of this year they had been provided with a draft agreement from the agency which indicated the terms under which they may be successful in receiving such a licence. They then strangely heard nothing for quite a period of time, and so came to me at one of my surgeries. And it seemed very necessary to get the Environment Agency to give them some clarity on the future prospects for this application, as the delay was causing a degree of blight to the development. And so I wrote to the Environment Agency on their behalf, and I started to make inquiries in this place as to not specifically that individual case, but as to the nature of the policy that relates to the role of the Environment Agency. After all, why should we need abstraction licences for renewable energy projects which only momentarily occupy the water, which passes straight through those devices which generate energy from the river? I had only begun to do so when my constituents made further approaches to the agency about the case of their application. In fact, I learnt at my surgery this weekend that the applicant had mentioned to the staff at this agency that because of the problems the delays were causing them, they had enlisted the support of their Member of Parliament. To my shock, Madam Deputy Speaker, it was alleged by the applicant when he met with me this weekend that the response he'd had from this public servant was to the effect of, yes, and if there are any more speeches in Parliament about this situation, I can assure you your application will go to the back of the queue. Now, Madam Deputy Speaker, this is quite a serious matter, I'm sure you'll agree, and one which caused me a great degree of concern. Now, you may feel that going to the back of the queue isn't members here may feel that going back to the back of the queue isn't the most serious of consequences when we all have to develop some patience when seeking permissions from regulatory authorities. But it's very relevant in this case because I received a reply to my letter to the Environment Agency dated the 29th of June, in which I was told that at that time the agency had failed to reach a determination on this application. A letter dated the very next day was sent to the applicants advising them that their application had been unsuccessful. Something which I find very hard to believe would not have been something that those replying to my original letter may have been aware was in the pipeline. But of course, delays to their application is very significant because the grounds given for the refusal was that another application on the other side of the river had already been granted permission ahead of theirs. And yet this application hadn't been granted at the time that these applicants first approached me. And indeed, that application was not officially submitted with the agency before the application submitted by those constituents who approached me, but merely they are told that conversations had begun with the agency before the applicants that came to me had made their application. So it was with a great degree of concern, Madam Deputy Speaker, that I hear these allegations that constituents were delayed in the assessment of their application because of the interest that I took in their case and because of the questions which were essentially policy questions that I raised in this House. So, Madam Deputy Speaker, I'd be very grateful of the Deputy Leader of the House, who has answered one of those questions. I mean, in fact, his was the most ably answered question of the questions that I've asked in this House so far on the subject. If he would raise this matter with ministerial colleagues, as I have very, very grave reservations about what is happening in this instance. Madam Deputy Speaker, before I finish, I did originally want to speak on the subject of railways in this debate. And since time is short, I will focus on one particular aspect of rail services in my constituency. At the start of the current franchise operated by First Great Western, the new franchise agreement withdrew the requirement to provide a number of services on a line between Chippenham and Trowbridge in my constituency that called at Melksham. These were the only services which called at that station, and as a result, they reduced a very popular and well-used service to a service which only now conducts 2 round trips each day, 2 round trips which are 12 hours apart and are therefore of a much lesser value to my constituents. There are great efforts, and have continued to be throughout, to restore that service, and I'm looking forward to a meeting with First Great Western next week at the start of the recess, where I might pursue this very pressing need. Melksham is indeed the 5th largest settlement in Wiltshire, and yet has a very, very minimal train service at the current time. I'd like to take this opportunity to pay tribute to the campaign that has been run for improved services at this station by the now chair of the local Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Graham Ellis, and all of those in the Save the Train campaign, and those that continue to pursue this matter through the Wiltshire Commuter Rail Partnership. We have some light at the end of this tunnel that there is indeed another operator that would like to run services on this line. And so I'd be grateful if the Deputy Leader of the House would raise with colleagues in the Department of Transport the need for us to be open and flexible about open access agreements, so that in this more straitened times we may be able to make better use of the track that we actually have. And I hope that in the spirit of the big society, the Go Cooperative, which is looking to embark on this open access agreement, may be given every opportunity to improve services available to my constituents.